Welcome back to our bedroom makeover series. This is the final reveal of how we took our bland and boring bedroom and turned it into a beautiful, enchanting, historic inspired retreat. Now, to give you a little recap on what we've done in this space to get it to where it is now, we had this old crispy wallpaper that had to be removed, and we did a little bit of plaster repair. Thankfully, for the most part, it was in good shape. We then found this gorgeous muted green paint color to paint all of the trim, and then primed all of the walls and prepped them for wallpaper. This was our first time wallpapering. We found this gorgeous vintage inspired tapestry wallpaper that completely transformed this space. In today's video, we are adding in all of the charming finishing touches that are going to bring this space to life. We had to change out the light fixtures to really bring this historic feel to life. I found this gorgeous brass chandelier at a garage sale. I think I only paid $30 for it, if I remember right. It was $30 or $35. But the one in here was very cute. It was not original to the house. And it just wasn't giving that kind of French-inspired look that we were going for in here. So I think this one ended up being a perfect fit, and we're going to drip it in crystals here in just a bit. Okay, so the rug is here. Unfortunately, I'm gonna send this rug back because the color of this rug is so much more vibrant than the photo online. And I know that that is a common thing that can happen, but it had so many good, high-rated reviews that I thought I was gonna be good to go. However, this rug comes in a multitude of different color combinations, and all of the reviews are for all of the color combos. So I should have looked more closely. I also could have ordered the smallest size of this rug to see the color in person first. But I would say that these colors are vastly different. Even in the lowest of lighting, this rug could never look like the picture that they had online. So lesson learned, I share this because stuff like this happens to me every single time I'm like planning and designing a room, and I know that it happens to so many others as well. So it can be really discouraging, but I think it happens more often than we realize to anyone, even people that we think maybe have their shit together. I clearly don't, but anyway, I have this vision of this traditional historic looking room where everything looks almost like it's been collected in different places from around the world. That is why I really want to do a rug that feels like a Persian rug that is kind of these like deeper colors that aren't necessarily pulled from the wallpaper. I want it to fit nicely in here, but not be matchy-matchy. And I think it can be done if it's done right. This red is just too bright for that look. If it's muted, deeper in tone, I see it working. And I have a vision for it. Now, at the end of the day, if I cannot make it work and I cannot find a rug that's within the budget, that fits with the look that I'm going for, I can go with a neutral rug easily. Like any neutral rug would work with this. It's not the vision. So that's where we're at with the rug situation. We're going back to the drawing board. We're gonna figure out what the heck we can do here to fix this. But for now, this thing's getting rolled back up and it's going right back. So to mask the asymmetry of this wall that the bed is centered on that has this one window, we've had this long curtain rod here that covers kind of the whole space. And this is actually something that the previous owners had done as well. So we kind of just rolled with their idea on that. I ended up going for a curtain that was mostly light blocking so that you wouldn't see the window, but I wanted that soft feel. So these particular curtains have a tulle fabric on the front, so I still had that billowy kind of soft look to it, but it was blocking out the light from that window. So after weeks of searching, we finally found the rug. And I mean, truly, I spent hours and hours searching for a rug that had the right color. There's clearly a gap in the market for deep red toned rugs because everything I was seeing looked dark online. And then if you'd look at either customer photos or additional photos in the product images, they would be a much brighter red. But this one is truly a nice deep red, and it's got a lot of neutrals in it. It actually has some navy in it, which the wallpaper also has some navy in it. So I think it's actually the perfect fit. And we were able to get a really large size for a good price. The shipping was super quick, so I'm very excited to unroll this and see how it looks. And then I actually have an idea for a little DIY, so I will talk about that once we get it unrolled and see what she looks like. This rug is so good. I could go on and on about it. It is actually a cloud pile rug is what they call it, and I was not expecting that a printed rug could ever be this soft, but it is. It is a delight to step on. It exceeded my expectations. The one thing it was missing though was fringe, and this is something that all of the vintage rugs that I was fawning after had, and mine didn't have. So to give it that vintage look, I remembered seeing my friend Elizabeth over at Elizabeth's Old Maple Home do this DIY a couple of years ago on one of her rugs. And so I ordered some fringe and got to work. This was so incredibly easy. You just use a hot glue gun and the fabric hot glue sticks, which I have used in a DIY before. I did some DIY stockings a couple of years ago, and let me tell you, this stuff, once it's bonded on, it stays on. It's got a very strong hold, so it's perfect for even a project like this where you're doing something that you are hoping to add permanently. I just applied it to the top of the fringe and then stuck it to the underside of the rug, and it looks so, so good. So we have our antique inspired rug, but it's time to bring in all of the real antiques, vintage pieces. Most everything in here was purchased secondhand, including our bed frame. This was previously used, I believe, as a waterbed. I did purchase it from an antique dealer in a little town nearby, but we had to create some support for it because it was missing a couple of pieces. I also found these gorgeous sconces at an antique mall in Kansas City. I did have to replace a couple of pieces. So like this little cap piece that you'll see in the center here that doesn't quite match, that was something that I had to order from grandbrass.com, and they're a little bit bright in comparison. So I saw this little DIY to try to get your brass, as long as it's unlacquered, to patina up a bit. You just mix a bit of vinegar and salt and make sure you have a container that you can close your item in, and you don't want to submerge the item. So I had this little
plastic thing I was able to set these on, but they really just need to be exposed to the fumes. Now, I think it worked a little bit, not as much as I was hoping for, but I think it would probably depend on what it is that you are trying to patina. I've seen it work better than this on other items. So I would say this is something you could easily try because likely you have these items in your household. All of the mounting hardware that I found was from Grane Brass, so there's always a way. It just sometimes takes a little bit of tinkering to figure out what's going to work. We didn't want to hardwire these, so I ordered just plug-in cords from Amazon, and we turned these into plug-in fixtures, which worked perfectly. Now, it's always scary to hang things in your new wallpaper, so I found that the best thing to do is cut a little triangle, like a little flap in your wallpaper, and just fold it down. And that way, if you ever change your mind, you can just repaste your little flap down. So I found that to be a helpful tip as well. I spent a lot of time curating the pieces for this space. The mirror I found at the antique store, and I searched and searched for nightstands. I really wanted some curved Bombay nightstands, but I couldn't find them, so I ended up finding these on Facebook Marketplace. It was $25 each for them, so I paid $50 for both, and I ended up just using a bit of gel stain on the top of them. I didn't even sand them because they were old enough that they took really well to the color. So I did a couple of coats of this and it freshened them right up. Now, the only downside to using a side table is that it doesn't have storage in it. So I just used a couple of little boxes on each of our nightstands for storage, and I will probably keep my eye out for something else, but I do love these little tables and I think they turned out really nice.